Poker's legendary champions, next generation stars, and tireless ambassadors of the game, sharing their wisdom and guiding your journey to high achievement on the green felt. This is Tactical Tuesday on Chasing Poker Greatness with your hosts, Brad Wilson and Jon Chai.
Welcome, my friend, to another episode of the Chasing Poker Greatness podcast. As always, this is your host, the founder of ChasingPokerGreatness.com, Coach Brad Wilson. And today is a tactical day, so I'm joined by my co-host, Jon Chai. Jon, how you doing, sir?
Good. I'm back in the online streets, as the YouTube viewers can probably tell from the background today, and have 4 online hands from my return to online. I took about a month off and played exclusively live, so came back with a week of 500 zone. It's been an extremely swingy first few days back. There was a -8 buy-in session, a +7 buy-in session, a handful of like other big ones in between. So the theme of this Tactical Tuesday is just going to be you giving me a sanity check on some pretty wild hands and just making sure that I haven't lost my mind in the month that I've been away.
Yeah, well, we'll see. It sounds like a volatile return to the online streets. It's hard to keep track of the hand that you're playing, when you're used to playing like 15, 17 hands an hour in the
Oh, no. I knew which hand I had when I made these crazy decisions. I that's why I need the sanity check.
All right, let's gauge your sanity collectively with the Tactical Tuesday listener. So, sanity check, hand number 1. Everybody folds to you in the big blind. You have ace-9, or everybody folds to the small blind who opens. You have ace-9 of diamonds in the big blind. You go ahead and 3-bet, and they call. So we have a 2-bet. You 3-bet with ace-9 of diamonds, and the small blind calls. Flop is 8, 9, 10, rainbow, two-tone with the 10-9 of hearts. So you flop middle pair. Villain, I presume, will check, and now action's on you.
Yeah, already kind of a decision here, I think. Could bet. There are definitely lots of merits to betting in the sense that we could easily have the best hand now. There are worse hands that could call. Our 9 is fairly vulnerable, probably especially so on a 10-9-8 two-tone board, but just in general, a pair of 9s is a hand that does benefit from some protection and charging overs.
Protection is like such a silly word, I think, in this case, because what are you protecting against really in a hand that is actually going to check fold the flop, that has equity, that where you need protection with ace-9, right?
Yeah. I guess there really isn't one. Even a hand like ace-queen or something like that. I mean, whatever.
King-jack, ace-jack, 7s, 7-8 suited. All these hands, they're going to call the flop. So you're not protecting against any of those hands because
you're just
not
value
folding.
betting. Yeah.
You're value betting basically. Yeah.
So yeah, those are the two things. I one of the other things that I think about when I bet, before, one of the things that I think about before putting money in the pot on a super dynamic board is just what is visibility going to look like downstream. Mm-hmm. Am I going to be confident in my ability to gauge the showdown value of my pair of 9s on, a variety of runouts? You could see just, a jack, queen, 7, 6 heart being instantly murky, and I'm sure there are lots of other ones. So I in general, my strat in these sorts of spots is just going to be to check back second pair or the one pairish type hands that are going to have visibility issues downstream, and kind of just use positional advantage, use whatever extra data points I can get from the actions that the small blind takes on the turn in the river, and try to make good decisions downstream.
Yeah, I agree. When it's framed from the sense of ace-9 is value betting, The follow-up question is like, is ace-9 good enough to value bet?
Mhm.
And I think the answer is probably no. So checking back just sort of makes sense. It's very natural.
Yeah. I think my value bet range would be very tight on 10-9-8 two-tone anyways. Like I might not even value bet a hand as strong as aces. So I think it makes a lot of sense to check back
Yeah.
a pair of nines.
And only way to get better at playing the spot is putting yourself in the spot. So turn is the king of clubs, which, yeah, connects with your range, connects with their range. I would say I don't think that it's going to swing either one significantly. Yeah, that's really it. Wouldn't be surprised if Phil bets. Wouldn't be surprised if Phil checks.
Yeah, that's actually exactly what I was going to ask. If when you say like you don't expect the king to swing, equities in either of our ranges heavily, so like that, can that be like kind of reduced down to like, we expect small blind to bet sometimes, we expect them to check sometimes. Neither would be surprising.
Yeah. I do think that when they bet the turn, that the river bet's going to come at a decent clip. I don't think it's like one and done here very frequently.
What makes you think that?
Just the fact that like their lower equity hands like ace jack, potential if they don't 4-bet that, which ace jack should be 4-bet here at a fair clip. Maybe ace queen, another hand that probably should be fair 4-bet at a fair clip. Like basically their low equity hands that they bet the turn with. I think there's an expectation that you're going to defend at least one bet. So in order to realize fold equity with those hands, they need to fire 2 bullets essentially, which means that like if the worst hands are firing 2 bullets, then their better hands are firing 2 bullets, then they're probably just firing 2 bullets at like a really high frequency.
I'm so glad you said that, which means that if we're going to hang on with a pair of nines on the turn, we should probably be ready to hang on with a pair of nines on the river.
Sure. But it also means like, should we hang on with a pair of nines? Right? Like that's the follow-up is like, should we do that? I would just fold the turn, honestly. I think that folding the turn is like, I mean, you've got so many better hands to defend with, and I would feel like infinitely better facing a check with ace-9. Like it's just, I don't really see a path to like playing this, like turning a profit by calling the turn.
Gotcha,
I really don't.
Yeah, this is I think a completely reasonable spot to fold. So I guess I failed the first sanity check, the sanity check of should I call or fold the spot. But after I failed that part, I knew that I should hang on facing the river bet, which maybe is another sanity check. We can see what the river is before we get that far. But
I just think like you have a hand that's very difficult to improve and blocks the hands that like would be really good if villain had. The fact that it's like really difficult to improve, I think is kind of a big deal. Like Jack 9, I would be way more happy about calling this bet with on the turn, or even like 7-8 or even 7s. I would be way happier calling the turn with those type of hands than, just third pair that
never gets any better. Yeah.
No other properties really.
We can improve to like trip 9s and he can still bet big on the river and we're still like, ugh.
Yeah, or 2 pair, either one. So yeah, like I would like to have some sort of property that like gives me a straight on the river at least. Or there's some hope.
Right.
So the river is a 5 of clubs, completing the backdoor flush draw. And villain bets big again, which I just could imagine happening. Like we could predict this on the turn. And I mean, I don't really know whether or not you should call the river here. I think
I was like, well, since we can predict this, how can I fold?
Yeah, I mean that's that's the sort of predicament that you find yourself in, right? Like on the turn. I also think too that calling with hands that have the capability to improve can actually like give you more natural folds on the river as well. Right. When they brick we also know that like, oh, they're gonna hit some, like my hand's gonna get promoted at some frequency. So like now I have like natural folds and I have some natural calls. In this case, you've kind of just stuck yourself in a spot where
You have to call.
you have to call.
Yeah.
And I think that that just in and of itself is gonna just create some problems.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm totally on board with the turn analysis. I think this hand can easily just go in the muck when I face a big turn bet. One of the things that I said on the flop was like, this is not even close to one of the best hands I would check back on the flop. And I can just take that one step further and say like, hey, when I check back the flop and face a big bet, if this is not one of the best hands in my range, and it doesn't improve on top of that, then I can probably just muck it and not feel like I'm getting run over or anything like that, because I have lots of other hands to continue with.
Yeah, and I can. So the final board was 10, 9, 8, 2 hearts, 1 club, turn king of clubs, river 5 of clubs. You hang on for dear life, call the river, and life is saved. They have the ace-6 of spades, so they did have like one of the hands that can bluff.
Yeah. Okay. 0 for 1 on the sanity check though. That's.
But you're up money so far, so we'll see. I don't know how that what all that means. Hand number 2. Cutoff opens to 3 big blinds, so $15. You 3-bet the button with king, queen off to 45, and the cutoff calls. So take a flop. Flop is 9 high, 9-6 deuce with 2 diamonds. You do have the queen of diamonds. I presume you're going to start out with a bet.
Yeah, not a bad flop, all things considered. We got 2 overcards, backdoor diamonds, lots of ways to turn our king high into something real by the river.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you start out with a half pot size.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we can start talking about half pot versus 1/3.
Probably going to be using bigger sizes on lower boards. Also going to be using bigger sizes on more dynamic boards, so 2-tone boards, more connected boards. Kind of the general story that I'm trying to tell here is that, hey, I have an overpair advantage on a 9-eye board. That's the thing that I'm trying to push right now. And, I have lots of hands in my range that the cutoff doesn't have once he only calls the 3-bet pre-flop that, are very excited about putting all the money in. I have all the aces, kings, and queens. Maybe the cutoff doesn't even have jacks if they 4-bet jacks, which is pretty reasonable. And those are all the hands that I'm trying to rep and kind of the hands that I want to protect with bluffs by betting big.
Yeah, and having a backdoor flush draw is a nice property of king queen. So you bet, they call. Turn is a tray of clubs, and they check. So deuce, tray, 6, 9.
2 backdoor flush draws. Oh wait,
you now have the double backdoor flush draws that potentially you could rep either one.
We have future flush blockers. That's what we have though. Double future flush blockers.
So they check. There's 191 in the pot, and so now this decision on the turn.
Not much of a decision. Just gonna keep pretending that I have kings or queens instead of king queen.
Okay, so the pretending goes on. I am a little bit hesitant to bet the turn here personally, but it makes sense. Like, I think that it's really easy to overdo it on this 9-high board. And yeah,
I'm definitely overdoing it.
I don't think villains are going to fold probably a 6, a 7, pocket 7s, or 8s.
Mm-hmm.
And like those hands really need to be folded out. And you block both backdoor flush draws, which is actually not good.
Yeah. Also, I agree with you that 7s and 6x, maybe 4s, 5s, like don't fold the turn. But
yeah,
we have to bet the turn to get those hands to fold on the river. And they might fold depending on what the river is. So we just got to prepare for.
I see. Okay. So
Damn it.
The river's a tray of hearts. So 9-6 deuce, tray. Both flush draws bricked. You block both flush draws, which is not good because they have fewer hands to fold.
Believe it or not, the sanity check is not what you thought it was going to be. It's not going to be, should I jam the river with a hand that double blocks flush draw? And
yeah, so the sanity check is whether or not you should call the river. So the villain donks the river. What is that? Like,
I don't know, a little bit more than a third?
More than a third?
Yeah.
So 35%-ish? Odd.
I was
Unexpected.
thinking of, so this is a concept, I don't know if we've ever talked about this on Tactical Tuesday, but this is something that you've spent a lot of time teaching me, and it's the concept of like complementary strategies. We had a Tactical Tuesday episode a couple weeks ago where we talked about betting small on the river, bluffing small on the river, in an attempt to fold out villain's air, just targeting only their air region with worse air. This is what this felt like to me.
Yeah, so essentially like
like this guy's just trying to fold out my bricked draws and whatever ace highs, king highs, whatever that I might be just going crazy with on a 9-9 flop with
right.
I don't know, something that's worse than king high, because I don't think ace high would do this.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think about the flush draw properties that you're blocking, like they're busted flush draws, and kind of trying to gauge the importance of that. You know, I think like
the king is sort of irrelevant, right? Because
yeah, it feels irrelevant.
Yeah,
like they're gonna check raise with the king of clubs. Like
actually, no, I thought the king of clubs was relevant because they wouldn't do this with the ace of clubs, right? Yeah. And so I have like the one that's like the next category down. So like me having
it's also hard for them to like. Yeah, I'm not sure how relevant the king is. The queen can definitely be relevant.
It hurts a little. Yeah.
The queen, like queen jack, queen 10,
right.
King queen of diamonds are just like all gonna be there. Man, this is like so weird. I don't even know. I don't think villain is messing around.
What?
I don't.
What value hand? You call here and you lose to, or you see a value. Like, what are you expecting here?
I don't know. That's another good question. Like ace tray of diamonds would be like one hand.
No way. This guy's gonna risk me not putting all the money in with an overpair and just calling 173.
It's just too good. Like the river's just too good for, you know, your overpairs, and it's too good for your, like, I don't know that it's too good for your bluffs, actually. Like, I don't know how often you're going to bluff on this run out.
Always.
All right. I kind of, I'm just confused. This sanity check is like, this is a weird spot that I think I'm fairly unstudied in, and probably would have to rely on the data, honestly, because
you have 15 seconds to make this decision.
Yeah, I've already timed out and folded my hand, like because I can't really, I just can't come up with a decent plan.
Our reactions to this was quite different, because I saw the 3 of hearts hit the river and I did the same thing that we did initially, and I was like, God damn it, now I don't know if I can jam the king queen on the river. And then he donked and I was like, whoa, now there's a way to win.
Yeah, but like, I think that, I mean, I think that when they donk, like, they could also presume that you're going to jam your overpairs anyways.
Oh, over this
donk. Oh, like, so they're not going to miss value from overpairs by donking. I don't know, John. I don't know.
I'd be kind of scared facing the donk with an overpair. I'd be like, well, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know what you're right. This is such a confusing size. If I had value, I think I might have been more confused than when I actually just had king high.
Yeah. So they got the call from king high with this donk, which is either really good thing for them or really bad thing for them. I guess it's a really bad thing.
This one felt good. I don't know why this guy didn't check raise the flop, but
I don't know why either. I don't know.
Check raise the flop with your combo draws.
So your sanity checks. You're 2 for 2. I'm 0 for 2. And what have we learned? I don't know. Results wise, you're doing well.
Better to be insane.
What a weird situation. All right, we're gonna head to break while I scratch my head and think about
this one.
This river donk spot. Stick around. More sanity checks coming your way.
Are you a lone wolf searching for the ultimate pack? The CPG Wolf program is a close-knit brotherhood hell-bent on one thing only: chasing poker greatness. Powered by bleeding-edge wolf strats and led by Coach Brad and his lieutenants, CPG Wolves are systematically prepared for almost any spot they'll encounter on the green felt. If you want to plug into an elite team and have a step-by-step game plan to realize your full poker potential, you can apply at cpgwolves.com. Space is limited, and the pack is only as strong as its weakest member. So only the hungriest, grittiest, and most driven will be accepted into the program. Applications are open at cpgwolves.com.
All right, welcome back from the break. Let's see if the Jon Chai magic can continue for a couple more hands. Yeah. Let's dive straight into hand number 3.
Oh, this one has some embarrassing pre-flop action. So I open ace jack of hearts, very normal. In the cutoff, I get 3-bet by the button. The small blind cold 4-bets to 92.50, and I do the rare flat with ace jack of hearts. This is a misclick.
Yeah, I believe you. That makes a lot of sense. So the Jon Chai magic, I don't know if it's going to continue or not. We haven't seen the result, but let's see if he can spin his misclick into something good.
It's like just praying the button doesn't jam. Okay, thank God. Okay, we get to see a flop.
The button doesn't jam. You called 92.50. There's going to be 227 in the pot. You get about as good of a flop as you can get. Ace high, ace 7-4 with 1 heart. Mm-hmm. So you check, or villain checks. You decide to check behind. I think this is pretty normal. I'm sure that when you misclicked and flopped an ace, you're like, oh, thank God. Like
I misclicked, flopped an ace, and I was like, okay, now I'm either screwed, like I'm really screwed.
Yeah,
we're committed now.
Yeah, so the turn's a queen of diamonds, and the small blind checks, and you bet half pot. I think this is like an important decision point. On the turn.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of ways, like, you can make the decision to like check or bet on the turn, and then there's still like, I think, a river decision. Like you could just bet once here and
sure.
Yeah.
And not bet the river depending on the run out. I do think like that turn sets of queens probably going to bet at some frequency. I think that actually like queens on the flop probably will see bet after cold 4 betting at some frequency as well. Maybe not absolute, but it's sometimes.
Well, I don't even know. Like we're already in like weirdo land, right? Because this guy's like, what? This guy just cold called the 4. So like, who knows like what this guy's gonna see betting strategy. But yes, in most normal situations, I would expect queens to generally just quarter pot the flop.
Yeah, like I think that, I mean, in general, like when you find yourself in a foreign situation, you grab onto what you can and what you know. And like that's the thing that I think lots of players know about 4-bet pots. In general, they're just like betting quarter. So yeah, anyway, what I'm saying is like I don't think they have a ton of slow played value at this point, and so I think Ace Jack is probably just like the best hand very often.
Mhm.
So like betting the turn and getting value here just makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. We can get called by kings. We can get called by ace 10 suited, ace 5 suited.
Yeah,
Maybe even a hand like king queen suited that makes a lot of sense to cold 4-bet. That could maybe find a call on the turn.
King Queen suited, Queen Jack suited.
Mhm.
I think Queen Jack suited is like quite a. Well, I mean, who knows? Who knows what you want to block after you cold call? The river is a 5 of spades, and villain checks again. So sayonara to beating ace 5 suited. You still beat ace 10 suited though.
Yeah, and
king,
kings,
queen
and
suited,
king queen, and queen jack.
and kings. Yeah. I don't think the 5 is going to be like swingy enough to not value bet the river. I think that ace jack is probably just a totally fine jam here after villain checks.
Nice. Okay. We passed the sanity check in the hand where I did the insane thing pre-flop.
Villain calls, and we lost.
So passed the sanity check, lost the magic.
Yeah, 0 for 3 for me in the sanity checks. I think maybe I'll need a sanity check next week. Villain has the ace 5 of diamonds, so they have a hand that like just makes all the sense in the world. Like I think they played the hand well. There's nothing really they could have done. They checked the flop. I think checking the flop is probably pretty good. Checking the turn is totally reasonable when you turn the nut flush draw, and checking the river so that ace jack suited can just jam and own itself is also great. So well done to the villain here.
It feels really bad when you start out with a pre-flop misclick and then end up getting stacked on the river.
Yeah. It feels really good when you pre-flop misclick and win a stack on the river, though, right?
I was really hoping that was what was going to happen, but he called so quickly on the river that I knew that's not what was going to happen as soon as he snapped.
You want a tank.
Yeah. I needed him to use like all 14 seconds or whatever.
Yeah. So you open the cutoff in this final hand with the ace 8 of diamonds. The small blind 3-bet you. Looks like you 4-bet ace 8 of diamonds to whatever this is, 23 big blinds.
This is my favorite IP 4-bet hand, bluff hand, for some reason. Ace 8 suited, just 100% 4-bet IP. I don't know what it is.
You have a lucky hand. No,
it is a lucky hand.
What can we say?
Go forward. Oh.
So with your lucky hand, the flop is ace, ace, ace. That would be 4 aces in a 4-bet pot. So villain checks, which is about the only appropriate thing they can do. Have a decision on the flop. All of your low equity 4-bets, or the majority of them, have an ace.
Should I bet like $2 here, or like what?
Half a big blind? Will they allow that? Just tell me thought process here after flopping quads.
Yeah, I also froze for a second and was like, should I c-bet? Should I not c-bet? And I decided to just c-bet. I thought, not c-betting would almost look even more suspicious. I think if I go really small, we're not going to get folds from flopped boats, maybe as like, hands up to like aces full of jacks or tens or something like that. Really, it's going to get called there. I don't think we're going to like induce bluffs because we check back on a ace board as the pre-flop 4-better.
It's like there's an expected thing that villain's going to expect you to do, and that is just bet everything here with a small size, because this board just smashes us. And so like checking back just raises red flags, I think, more so than a small c-bet does.
So I start out with like a really small c-bet, and then that's where the hand gets really tough.
Wow, super tough spot. John bets 45 into 230. His opponent jams. So now you're at a decision here on the river with
Sanity check.
quad aces. Yeah. You gonna pull the trigger on this one, you think?
I had to think about it, but decided this was probably a little bit too high up in my range to fold.
Yeah, I think so. What on earth is villain doing?
Yeah, right. What do you think he has?
There's not a single appropriate hand to do this with that I could even imagine. Like I can't even like. I just can't even imagine a hand that they do this with. Like unless they have like kings, maybe is like king queen, maybe. Sevens. Well, they did it. They flopped a boat, and they got stacked. What a cooler.
That's a warm welcome back to online.
Yeah.
This was like one of my first hands, actually. And I was like, huh, oh, nice. I remember why I like this game.
Yeah, so the sanity check for the small blind is they are insane. The sanity check failed by the small blind in this scenario.
My sevens need protection.
Yep. Protection. They got it. Well, and you know the messed up part is like when they jam and get called right, they almost always have like sub 1% equity. Like they need like 7-7. They can't even improve with a 7.
With 1
like,
7, yeah.
They need 2 7s to improve. In this case, 2 7s is not even enough. Like, so, yeesh. All right. Good episode. I don't know whether you're insane or not, because apparently you're more sane than I am in these 3 hands anyway. So welcome.
Well,
back
we'll do another
the
checkup
online
next
streets.
week, and we'll have some more online hands because I'm probably back and online for good for the next couple weeks at least, and then we can do another sanity check next Tuesday. Yeah,
gearing up for the World Series of Poker
by playing lots of online 6-max zone. No. It's just I'm going to be traveling a bunch in the next couple weeks, and so I won't be able to play live. I'll just be playing on my laptop.
Gotcha. Well, happy travels, and as always, that's all I've got.
See you next week.
See you next week while John's on the road.
Thanks for listening to Chasing Poker Greatness. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts or on your favorite podcast app. Go to chasingpokergreatness.com to get the newsletter, join the Greatness Village community, book a coaching session, or dive into the latest data-driven poker courses. Follow the show on Twitter @CPG Podcast.